Well, hello, everyone, and happy Hump Day Wednesday. It is your girl, Marquessa Keith, owner of Atkins and Keith Consultants LLC and Fit In Ladylike trademark. And tonight, I welcome you to another live episode. The episode that we have tonight is Women in STEM. So this is episode 7, y'all. I'm so excited about it. We're going to be talking women in STEM. Particularly, I got my girl here with me tonight, a good friend of mine, Crystal Porter, who is finance, engineering, touching in the engineering realm as well, and technology, where we kind of both grew up together because technology is my background. But I am not going to get too far ahead and steal her thunder. We're going to have some quick introductions, really quick, and I'm doing something a tad bit different tonight by having my son Isaiah Keith on so that I can get his take and you all can get his perspective, a 16-year-old perspective about STEM. So that way, if you have your teenagers here, they can get it too. So without further ado, I am going to let you know who this awesome woman in STEM is. This is my friend Crystal Porter. She is the chief of staff for the CTO Defense Group at Leidos. Crystal is also one of the 12 founders of STEM City USA. Let me say that again. She is one of the 12 founders of STEM City USA, and she received a prestigious award, the Dr. Wanda Austin Award, last year at the BEA conference. And y'all, I'm not in engineering, okay? But I attended the virtual BEA conference last year. And when I got off of that conference, I was so inspired, so empowered that I got on the phone and called my girl Kristen trying to figure out, girl, how can I go major in engineering? I'm so serious. So I say all that to say the interest does not stop with our kids. The interest does not stop at high schoolers. The interest does not stop at college. People who have already majored, completed, and excelled in their undergraduate degree or even moved on to their graduate studies, there are still fascinating ways to jump off into this STEM or now STEAM field because we're adding the arts in that. And we'll touch a little bit on that tonight. So get your notes, get your notepad, whatever you need, because we're just going to have the open discussion about the importance of STEM across quite a few areas. So we're going to get into it by turning it over to Crystal. And Crystal, I'm going to let you just share a little bit more with the audience, whatever you'd like to tell us more on, to elaborate on about your background. And I'm still forever excited about you being the recipient of the Dr. Wanda Austin Award. So girl, tell us a little bit more.
Hey, so thank you so much for having me here, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. And this is a passion of mine. I love being an advocate for STEM and diversity in STEM because the numbers are really low for the Black community and also Hispanics. It's terribly low. So any chance that I get that I can encourage or inspire people who look like me, or just a young inspiring mind to get, or folks that are pivoting their career, that's what I like to do. So about me, originally from Chicago, grew up on the west side of Chicago, and I've now relocated to the Northern Virginia area. Most of my background, I want to tell you guys, is a hybrid of military and also being out in the civilian corporate sector. So everything from systems engineering, solutions architect, like you said earlier, being a founder in STEM. A lot of my passions are road traveling, combat veteran. Let me say that, I'm a combat veteran. I supported the military, been in for, I think it was about 10 years, I want to say. So those were great opportunities to lead to where I am today. The BEA Award. So let me put a plug in here right now for a BEA, Becoming Who You Are, but it's the Black Engineer Year Awards, and they're held every year. So this year will be the 36th annual Black Engineer of the Year Awards, and it's focused on science, technology, engineering, and math, and it's a conference. And let me tell you, it is so inspiring. There are high school students, there are people in the community, all different professions under STEM. And it's very exciting to see such representation among, people that look like me. And that exposure from the professional development to the networking to just being saying, hey, you did a great job, and hey, what a wow, what innovation that you've done. So I'm very honored to have been a recipient last year of the Dr. Wanda Austin Legacy Award. And if you guys don't know her, you should look her up. I mean, those are some big shoes for me to try to fill. My intentions are just to keep inspiring and getting other young, like I said, people involved in giving back to my community and also just spreading the word. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And we cannot forget about the combat army vet. I say who, okay?
Cool.
Fellow soldier. But yes, this is so wonderful. I'm so happy that you accepted the invitation to join my platform to talk about STEM because I hold it near and dear to my heart. I really love being an advocate of STEM. I love spreading any information, resource, and education that I can, especially amongst our youth, when it comes to this dynamic yet complex background that some of us sometimes think is a little bit too hard. Not everybody, but some of us may think it's a little bit too hard to take on, but it's really not. Which leads me right into the first part of our conversation, so we can go ahead and kick this off. It's just, going a little bit deeper on exactly what I just said for awareness and exposure to STEM. Now we're talking about the arts, where we're adding arts in there and ways that they can do that, because I know that this is a career field that is underrepresented, and that's one of the problems. Is it's underrepresented. Whether you're Black, you're Hispanic, it doesn't really matter. It's underrepresented in those ways primarily because the attention is just not there, or the numbers are just not statistically in alignment with who is actually performing, who's actually completed the educational background and actually took that education into a S&P Fortune 500 company and applied it and implemented it in their own innovative ways. So I'll just let you elaborate a little bit more, and then I will get my son to share what his interest is and what he wants to major in after high school leading into college, and we'll just continue the discussion from there. But Crystal, I'll let you share with us, just your experience, your background, how you found yourself interested, what sparked your awareness into the STEM background, and how did you get some of your exposures to it, and found your passion in saying, hey, I'm going to major in finance, and then I'm going to go on and build upon that and touch other areas of STEM. So just share something with us based on your experience in being exposed to STEM.
Sure. So my exposure to the STEM career fields kind of started a little bit late. High school year, I ended up getting a scholarship and an internship at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And from there, that spawned my interest into finance because I was directly working on the trading floor, learning about futures and options, the whole stock market, the things that you used to see back in the day before it became electronic. And so that's what took me into it. And into college, I decided, like, hey, I want to do finance because there's so many things up under finance. And I had a knack for learning finance and learning numbers and things like that. So that was my first real exposure on that side. I also, in high school, had a small internship, kind of like where I worked at the Rush Hospital, and I was exposed to different medical fields. And there was a finance department there as well that I worked at. And at the time, my mentor there allowed me to work in different sections to gain exposure to, like, did I want to go into the medical field? Did I want to go into finance? Did I want to go into something else? And he was the one who encouraged me to take on the internship at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. I had a big fear of it. I didn't want to do it. And he said, hey, his name is Reginald Hetz Adams. He said, Crystal, you can always come back, go ahead and go do it. And, I felt some type of way and I was really upset with him, but I went ahead and did it, went ahead, got my degree in it, and I really enjoyed it. Took some time doing more things with it.
That's awesome. And I'm glad you brought up the word fear, because I think that this altogether, STEM in general, can sometimes create a little bit of fear and anxiety just from everything I stemming from everything I mentioned before. But what helped you really get over that fear while you were in that internship that made you just say, "Hey, I'm going to lean all the way into this"? Like, yes, you had the folks around you that were grooming you, preparing you, making you feel comfortable, but to really resonate it a little bit more with the audience, like what really that light bulb that popped on and said, "You know what? I'm no longer going to be fearful of this, and now I'm ready to take the training wheels off and just do it"?
Oh, there were so many things. A couple of it was being very young and affirmations, right? So,
Mm.
my grandfather would have me recite a poem, every Sunday at church. That was one thing to speak about, I am somebody. There were multiple encouragement from my family, from my friends. And then it took something internally, just like went off and was like, I could do this. I had some setbacks and, I did cry a couple of times, like, hey, this math is really hard here, like, I don't know if I can do this. But it was more so a bunch of affirmations and just the attitude, like, you know what, I could do this.
Okay. And then Isaiah, this is my son, Isaiah Keith. He is a
Oh, wow.
junior here in Huntsville, Alabama, well, in Madison, and he attends James Clemens High School. So, Isaiah, just share with us, why are you interested in STEM and why do you want to major in finance? Just tell the audience a little bit about that.
So as far as me, my interest in majoring in finance, I really just want to learn all the aspects of money when it comes to money management, which is something I really need to learn. And as far as going into the stock market and investing and stuff like that, just everything all about finance and the aspects of money, I just want to know about it. I fell in love with it. So yeah, I just want to be very financially stable in my future. So I know with all the knowledge that I gained from the major, I just want to take it all in and apply it to my real life situation so I know what to do and everything. And
Okay.
then as far as STEM wise, with finance and STEM being tied hand in hand, I understand that we're moving into more of a like advanced technology type of world. So I know that currency is being more technical as far as cryptocurrency and stuff like that, and people are using crypto as another way of transaction rather than regular paper money. So just everything in that nature. So yeah.
That's awesome. So, do you have a college in mind or colleges that you think you may want to attend that can help you get to that goal in finance?
As of yet, I'm looking at Texas Southern University and Georgia State University, but I do need to do more research on different types of schools because I don't want to have my options just limited to two schools. I want to go have many different options. So yeah, just keep my grades up and things like that, doing my research.
Okay, awesome, son. And before I let you go, in case there are any other teens your age or above your age or can identify with you, what information would you share or confidence building would you share with the audience if they are fearful about getting into any field that deals with a lot of mathematics, science, technology? And in your case, yours is going to be mathematics because of the finance piece. So, what would you encourage, someone your age to do if they're a little bit apprehensive or they're afraid of jumping into a STEM field, specifically math?
Well, one thing is hard work. You just got to be real dedicated to what you want to do and put in the work. It's nothing wrong with being scared, but you always want to be confident in what you want to do. So if you need to reach out for help or anything, just also make sure that you're responsible in that and reaching out for help because there's nothing wrong with asking questions and knowing more and just expanding your knowledge so you can be better at what you want to do. So pretty much it's just being confident and being able to accept getting help and being responsible of yourself and what you want to do.
Awesome. Okay.
I
That was
love you.
awesome. Yeah. Well, I would not hold you because I know teenagers want to have a little time before it's time for them to hang up for the night. So, Isaiah, thank you so much for participating these few minutes and sharing why you want to major in a STEM field. So, I'm going to let you drop on off, son. You have a good night as we continue this conversation. You have anything else you want to say to the audience before I let you go?
No, ma'am.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.
That was
Yeah.
awesome.
That was awesome, and I'm glad he brought that up because financial aspects of cryptocurrency. We all know we're already migrating there. Shoot, we're already there. It's not about a matter of migrating there. It's how much is going to grow and continue to advance, and how much we're going to be able to use that in the very foreseeable future, starting now. It's just going to be mind blowing. So that was all amazing. We're going to move on to the innovation and design piece, right? So you touched on it a little bit earlier, Crystal. You were getting down this road about innovation when it comes to STEM. And I think this ties back into the whole exposure piece, right? Because we're all taught to be critical thinkers, think about a situation in a way where we're able to solve problems. And then now if we overlay that from everyday life experiences, because we're solving problems every day, right? We may not think about it in a scientific data method, but that's what we're doing essentially. We just haven't connected it just yet. So that whole innovation and design, I want to pair it to like computers versus cell phones, or the two put together. Right now, you made a great point when we talked about people on the episode, but I'm going to let you deep dive it because you had a really good point that I want you to pull out and share with everybody else, of the huge differences that people don't even know can really benefit them, or maybe they know and they just haven't really thought about it in that great detail. Especially that teen, it goes back to the youth again that's thinking about it, that may watch this or may watch it later, or maybe their parent who's watching will share it with them, of how they can take their everyday necessities, i.e. gaming, i.e. the cell phone that they have the different apps and things of that sort on, how we text, how we chat, how that can be an innovative thought to something more phenomenal as we advance into this future of technology being the way of the world. Right now it's just like teeny, but it's going to be on steroids even more. So can you share some more about the awareness? We're going to keep that umbrella there on awareness and exposure when it comes to being more innovative, how they can get involved with design, because I know you work with a lot of engineers, or you work around a lot of engineers, and the differences of us using our computers today, using our cell phones today, and how that's already a part of STEM without us even knowing it.
Yeah, so speaking on awareness, real quick, is that, just reading and doing some research before even us having this discussion, being taught STEM at an early age, like early childhood programs kind of lack the knowledge and resources and capacity to focus on early STEM in, developmental appropriate ways. And so some of the data has been showing that young people are not graduating with skills needed to succeed in a rapidly evolving technology driven workforce. And when we had our discussion, a couple of days ago, we were talking about just the innovation and design behind itself. When I think about a lot of things, I think about when it comes to innovation and design, some of the things that you could do on a computer versus on the phone. And when we talked about this, I believe I was speaking up from a point of when we learn a couple of things on the computer and just access to different programs, just access to hands-on things, just access to what's in your classroom, and just expanding on your child's passion or even yourself. So, if your child likes gaming, figure out what is it that they like in the gaming. Is it, maybe they changed the configuration on their console, maybe they said, they upped the memory on it. Those are some things that will expand like your kids thing. Don't just play it off like, oh, this gaming, like you doing this too much. That's a whole nother technology area. Like, the things that we do in gaming also correlates to some of the things with some of the cars that we drive. Some of the aircraft have all this high tech, like digital display type deal. The user interface itself, like we need someone to actually design. When you touch the computer or the screen, does the feedback work in a certain way? You need like all these different types of area. So don't stay tunnel vision to what it is. And when it when it comes to like, again, like the design part of it, that's where the arts fit in too as well, because you need like someone after the prototype is done, someone to make things look pretty, someone to market. it, someone to design different type of styles for the product or service that you're doing. So there's the field is so big, it's so broad, and it's so interesting to me, and that's why I love it, because like there is something for anybody in any one of the umbrellas of STEAM to get involved with. Everything from even cooking that takes measurements, that takes different liquids and solids, that can fall under science and chemistry, right? So there's just so many different things about it.
It is. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because this goes right into our next topic of discussion when it talks about the leadership and being a problem solver and having all those technical skills that you can bring together. While you don't have to have that concrete subject matter expert thing in your mind, that's where you have to be in order to be successful with STEM. Sometimes it's just about providing that structure, right? And being able to lead some of these subject matter expert teams who know exactly what to do, whether it's formulated equations when it comes to the scientific piece, they're engineering something, they're talking the decimals and dots when it comes to technology, or they've got the math down to a solid, or they can put up on the screen what it would look like in the form of art to take that and digitize it and make it something more innovative so that it can keep up with futuristic things. So can you just share some more on what it would look like? I won't say what it would look like, but someone that, getting over that intimidation hump and building that confidence to know that you can still be of value added from being able to lead some of these subject matter experts without being the subject matter expert and at the executive level.
Certainly, like you don't have to be the actual engineer or the scientist, or you don't have to be the doctor, but each one of these areas need a leader or a manager, someone to keep the projects or the task on point, someone to go and advocate on your behalf as you're being the engineer, all tinkering and all that stuff, playing with Legos. Well, someone has to do some of the leading and gathering and being on your behalf, advocating and doing the day-to-day business, so you can continue to be the innovative, you can continue to be the creative. There's several areas as far as supporting the industry in STEM, and you can just have a technical business acumen to support, whether that's a project manager, whether that's doing something in Scrum, whether that's doing something where you're just leading, being the CEO, or you're being in a functional area that supports whatever project it is. There are still folks that are needed to support this industry that still has a love and passion for STEM. And maybe that's not what they really wanted to get down into the engineering level, but they want to still be surrounded by it and supporting it.
Yeah. And then that ties back into the whole business piece, right? There's so many consumer products and services on the market today where people are starting businesses, uh, advancing their businesses, and it goes back to the systems piece. Whether you're doing it, it doesn't matter what business you're doing. Like I'm in coaching, right? Coaching and consulting, but then I also am in health and wellness. You've got other people who actually have a lucrative product, whether it's in the medical field or a medical service that they're providing. The whole technology piece of STEM are those systems. Someone is in the background that's going to make that business move through the systems that they're going to put in place. And I say that not because I want to be generic about it, but I want to be able to make sure folks can connect that. And when I say folks, I'm talking about our youth here. If any adult that's listening on the line can benefit from it, great. I want everybody that's listening to benefit from it. But this is something that at a young age, you would want to start putting that in your mind so we can get over some of these hurdles and some of these challenges about any areas of STEM fields when it comes to starting a business or being in fashion. People have a clothing line. They don't sometimes connect the fact that with the systems you would put in place, going back on what you said earlier, there's some type of design that will go with that will create that innovative piece, whether it's a shirt, it's some pants, it's a coat, or it's the way someone will get dressed or how they will organize their closet when it comes to wardrobe. So there's still ways to be interested in it and still do what you love and what you're passionate about when we're talking on the business front, being a problem solver and using the technical skills that you already have, that you already enjoy. So it doesn't seem like, oh, I'm just driven to go to STEM, that's or STEM or STEAM. That's not what I want to do. But I still have all of these skills that's still kind of falling in that bucket anyway. So let me figure out how to make it work. Or let me see what I'm really not interested in versus what I am interested in, compile it together, and then make it work. So I appreciate you sharing and elaborating on that, which leads into the next topic of the motivators. Like, what are some of those educational motivators to start and finish a STEM field of study? I myself started in it, and I can share a little bit about my story, and it'll be real quick so we can move on. But when I started college initially, I wanted to major in computer science. Computer science was my thing. What drove me away from computer science was the math. I was like, pre-calculus, calculus, I got to be able to do this to code and to know how to do everything else. And so, if I had given it just a little bit more time, and like my son said earlier before he got off, and just asked for that help earlier on, I would have stuck with computer science and I wouldn't have changed my major. But when I changed my mindset about not being fearful of it and being more confident in it, and I leaned into it, I was still able to go back and get a master's in IT management. And while it's IT management, going back to that whole leadership piece, I still had to do some coding. I still had to do some of that same stuff, but in greater detail from a higher level. So I really didn't avoid it. And I felt very accomplished when I got it done, because I was like, wow, I diverted from my undergraduate studies of a technology field and still ended up in technology, but at a mastery level. And then thankfully and prayerfully, by the way of the military, I got to really implement some hard technical skills. So I'm very grateful for the route and the path that my thought and my mindset as a young college kid took. And then
Yeah.
it still came back full circle, to say the least. But what are some of the additional educational motivators that you can impart on the audience about starting and actually finishing in a STEM field of study?
Most of the time, it's first start with what are you passionate about, right? So for me, I'm passionate about like new technology involving things that make things easy to learn, or the way things appear and look. Like I love like some of the technology out here, and it just fascinates me. So I always have a post on new technology and always thinking out in the future, like, oh man, can't wait till the car be able to do this. I can't wait until you could just do this from your phone and stuff. So it's more of a passion type deal. The other thing is like you will have some times where there will be resistance and where there will be failure, right? So don't let that be where it throws you off, because like me taking like calculus 3 was pretty tough. Calculus 1 was tough. Okay. So, I mean, I wasn't really a fan of math like that, to be honest, but it didn't stop me. And, I adapt over time to different things, different learning styles, just different things over time, got better. At that moment, perhaps I wasn't ready and the light bulb just wasn't popping off. And so now later down the road, after, also exposure and some hands-on type feel, like my learning style evolved and helped over time. Otherwise, like Crystal would have been done a long time ago.
Girl, absolutely. Before we conclude for tonight, I just have one more question for you on STEM, and then we'll go into the fast round mindset questions that I ask majority of all the people that come on the series. So this last one is just, what are some of your most impactful lessons learned as a huge advocate of STEM? Because I truly believe that what other people experience and they're not afraid to share in the things that they experience with other people in the open and in the public that's listening and really resonating with it, that's how they connect the most, is identifying through experiences. That's a huge thing for me. So, what are some of the most impactful lessons learned as an advocate of STEM that you can share? One or two?
um, Representation matters. I say that because, like, just having an opportunity to be a blessing, being blessed by some folks in the field, representation, and then being blessed to be a mentor or to go and speak to inspire other, young girls, young boys, you know, like the most impactful lesson from all of that is redirecting back into others. I wish that when I was young, like, how some of the young ladies that I have mentored or some of the things I'm involved with, I wish that the representation was there. I had folks trying to push me into STEM at the time, and I was like, nope, no, I'm not doing all that math and all that other stuff. And, like, I want to highlight a statistic, or not a statistic, a data that, like, I found out that, like, only 7% of the people who earn STEM degrees are black, according to, like, that's like federal data. Like, I looked it up on, I think it was I think I'll just send you, like, where I found it at. And the percentage didn't change much between 2008 and 2018, but, or maybe, I think, in it for, like, I think it was around 7 to 12% for Hispanic college graduates. So there are very few STEM role models for students of color. So even though I am in the primarily space of system engineering, background finance, I still mentor young women and talk about different things that I have been exposed to, and try to help them down a path of, like, what their passion is and what they like, or give information or present them to someone else. Perhaps there's someone in chemistry and some know what they want to do, and I'm like, oh, well, here's someone that you can talk to. Here's this black chemist that you can talk to at 11 years old. Here you go. But my impactful lesson right now as an advocate for STEM is, one, representation, two, listening. Sometimes it just takes listening and to help someone pinpoint where they want to go. Like, there may be some things that I've seen across the years that I could help give back to someone else.
Yes. And one thing I forgot to have you elaborate on, and I want to do that before we close. Sorry, I do. The being one of the 12 founders of STEM City University. I will share the link here at the end so folks can see it. But can you just give us a tad bit more of how STEM City USA will help youth and anyone who's interested in that field of study just by being a part of STEM City USA?
Yeah, so STEM City USA launched last year. It's a metaverse city that bridges the gap for millions of underserved throughout the community and education. It's a digital twin city of the world that we live in. So there's virtual reality, augmented reality. We also have several different colleges and universities involved, historically black colleges and universities, several S&P 500 Fortune companies involved. We also have sponsorship from Boston Scientific, and there is a career day for kids every second Saturday of the year. And there's different engineers that come on and speak, different areas, from a pilot, from an Imagineer at Disney. There's so many different things. We also host a lot of things on the platform. There's a lot of more things rolling out. Women of Color STEM Conference was launched on the program. There's been community town halls that we've had with, like, the Senator of Maryland, Senator Cardin. So there's been so many different things that it's bridging the gap and making resources a lot more for the BIPOC community, for the underserved folks, and to overcome, like, geographic and access barriers and just community growth and development. It's a very I love it because each month or so it's just expanded with so many different resources and stuff. So STEM City USA.
Yes, and I'm so fascinated with the passion and the drive that comes from the BIPOC community. As I was sharing with you before we got on this episode, I was grateful enough to be invited on a platform where I was able to speak to the BIPOC community out of Toronto, Canada, and it was an amazing experience. Like, I learned so much from the young ladies that were a part of the conversation. they taught me, I think, more than I was able to impart on them. But lo and behold, we all took away with some great value added. But it was such an amazing discussion to have, just to talk to them. Oh my gosh, so great. So definitely aware. So hey, let's go into the fast round mindset questions. The first one, Crystal, for
All
you,
right.
what is your favorite book?
So I don't have a favorite book, but I could share two books that I'm reading right now. One
Mhm.
is The Phoenix Project,
Say
and then
that
the
again.
other one, The Phoenix Project.
Okay.
And then the other one that I'm reading is called Right Within: How to Heal from Racial Trauma in the Workplace. And
Oh,
I'm excited about this book. It's by Minda Harts. It's a really good book that I think that should be on the list of most, inclusion and diversity boards. It should be anyone that's advocating or allyship for Black women, women of color. The book is pretty good, and there's a couple of things in it that I'm like, wow, I kind of understand. Not kind of, I resonate with a lot that's in the book. So I don't have a favorite book, but those are two of the top books I'm reading right now.
awesome. And the next question is, what is your favorite self-care activity?
Oh, so I go by this principle that I started several months ago, lifesavers. And basically, that's I developed it, or I got it, not developed it, I got it from a book I read called The Miracle Morning, The Not So Obvious Secret Guarantee to Transform Your Life, something like that, before 8 a.m. And so in this book, Lifesavers, it goes over the S is for silence, which is you meditate in prayer, and it's deep reflection and gratitude. So when I get up in the morning, I do my thing, but the first thing after that really is, the silence. And then the A is for affirmations, and for me, that's speaking out loud about 50 plus affirmations, and then most of that is like what and why I want and who I'm committed to be and to create it. And then the V is for visualizations, and I just visualize, like, who I need to be and what I need to do, and visualize what I want. So that's more future, more creative process and mental rehearsal. And then the E, you're just smiling. And then the E is exercise, which is like stretching and body exercise. I'm working my way. I've been in physical therapy for quite some time due to some previous injuries and autoimmune stuff, but I'm working my way back in to that. And then reading, art for reading, which is like, that's either audio or podcast, or sometimes like I'm reading, before I go to bed at night. It's maybe like 10 minutes of reading, like one of those books I said earlier, The Phoenix Project, or Right Within. And then the S is for scribing, was write good things and a quick note of like how I felt and how I process things. Maybe like I woke up, but I'm still, like I'm in a space and my day ain't right. But I try not to hold that energy in, and I try to have like some gratitude about some things that I was able to accomplish, and not beat myself up because I may have 10 tasks for the day, but I only accomplished 6. It's
Mhm.
so I just go give gratitude for the 6 tasks that I was able to accomplish.
Awesome. And the next question is, how many times were you told no?
A lot, and there were many doors and windows shut. However, I consider that timing, and I'm just grateful that it was timing. I wasn't ready. So, but yeah, the doors, like, a lot of rejection, schools, a lot of rejections from jobs, a, a lot.
Awesome. And do you have a business mentor or coach?
Absolutely. I have a coach for several areas of my life, whether it be spiritual, mentally, or physically. And also, from my place of employment, and also from different industries, a separate perspective. So, my boss likes to call it your own board of directors.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Crystal's board of directors, I do.
That's a fact. That's a whole fact. Yes. So everyone that has come on here has said that they have a mentor or a coach in various parts of their lives. And I so love to hear it. I'm here for it all. And the next one is, what is the most rewarding aspect of your career?
my most rewarding aspect of my career is seeing people smile. Like I get like a warm feeling, like when like people work together and we're all like, "Oh, we did it" and stuff. Like that's really rewarding. Like that's the top. Just I don't know. I like seeing people smile and I like to make people laugh.
Nice. And then the last question is, give us your number one health and wellness tip.
Drink water, meditate and pray. Mind your business. Just kidding. I'm still here.
I'm back. I have no idea what happened.
I was like,
Yes.
so answer your question, my this is gonna sound so wrong. Drink water, meditate and pray, mind your business. But if you do
Listen.
that, I think
Cool.
that's my health and wellness tip. Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to try not to push any wrong buttons this time, but give me just a second because before we go, I do want to share this website, stemcityusa.com, because it is an amazing website. I've been to it myself, attended some of the virtual rooms. There's still more that's been added since the last time I attended a virtual room in there. And I think it's very beneficial. So even if you all haven't tapped into the link as I put it up on the screen, I do want to share it here really quickly just so you can get a tad bit more for yourself of what STEM City USA is really all about. So give me a second and I am going to share that on the screen as well.
I think something happened.
I know it's okay. So
Something happened.
the system don't want to let me be great tonight, but that is okay. It didn't stop no show. Thank you all for listening in, tuning in live. This has never happened before. The devil is a lie. That means something great is going to happen next week as I introduce it. But Crystal, thank you for your time. Thank you for being on the platform. Thank you for sharing your experience, your background, and your knowledge in STEM. I just love you to pieces. I love your level of success that you have achieved. I absolutely am in love with what you're doing with the youth. Thank you for being one of the 12 founders of STEM City USA, because that is going to be it's going to be really big. It's already big. It's going to continue to grow. So thank you for all you are doing. To give you all a heads up for next week, I'm going to have another dynamic woman on here to talk about food and nutrition. So if you want to know more about how food is medicine, everything I keep typing in my stories and posting about food is medicine, we will be talking about nutrition next week. You do not want to miss that episode. So thank you all. Have a great night and visit STEMcityUSA.com. This is Fit In Ladylike trademark, and the Fit In Ladylike a Boss series has concluded for now. Thank you.
Thank you.